Beneath the towering silent walls of Troy, a man runs. He is a prince, the shield of his people, and he is hunted. Behind him, a predator, a blur of divine bronze and cold fury, his chariot kicking up the dust of a 10-year war. The city watches in silence from the ramparts, their champion Hector, hunted by the demigod, Achilles. How did it come to this? The war had ground on for 10 miserable years. 1,000 Greek ships, black and rotting on the shore. The fields between them and the walls, soaked in blood. But the war had reached a bitter stalemate, because the Greeks' greatest weapon was not fighting. Achilles, son of a sea goddess, bred for greatness. He was a force of nature, a hurricane of spear and shield. He had been given a choice, a long, forgotten life, or a short one at Troy in exchange for Kleos, undying glory. For him, it was no choice. He was not there for Greece or for a stolen queen. He fought for the eternal echo of his own name. He was a monument built for an audience of one. But for months, he sat in his tent, gnawing on his own heart. King Agamemnon, leader of the Greeks, had publicly shamed him. He had taken Brise, Achilles' war prize. It was not about the woman. She was a symbol, a tangible trophy of his success. By taking her, the king had declared his skill worthless, his glory a whim that could be taken away. His honor, stripped bare, was a wound deeper than any spear. And so he quit. He let the Greeks be slaughtered, asking his goddess mother to beg Zeus to let the Trojans win, all to force Agamemnon to crawl, just to understand his true value. Across that bloody plain stood a different hero, Hector, crown prince of Troy, the city's heart and its shield. He was a husband, a father, a son. While Achilles fought for a name that would live forever, Hector fought for a people he hoped would live to see the dawn. His honor was not personal validation, it was public responsibility, an oath in iron. Before the battle, he found his wife, Andromache, on the walls, watching the slaughter. She begged him not to go. She had already lost her father and brothers to Achilles. She pleaded with him to organize the defense from the safety of the walls. Hector admitted his fear. He had a grim feeling Troy was doomed, but he said he would die of shame if he hid from the fight like a coward. He fought only to hold off that terrible, fated day. Then his infant son, Astyanax, began to cry, terrified by the giant plume of horsehair on his father's helmet. Hector laughed. He took the helmet off and kissed his child. In that one simple act, the man was revealed. Achilles was a hero defined by his armor and his rage. Hector was a hero defined by the people he took it off for. These two titans, pride and duty, had mostly avoided each other. It would take the death of a third man to finally set them on their tragic collision course. Patroclus. With Achilles sulking, the war was a disaster. Hector was on a rampage, breaking the Greek defenses. He was setting fire to their ships. In this moment of pure desperation, Patroclus, Achilles' closest and most beloved companion, begged him to rejoin the fight. Achilles refused. So Patroclus asked for a compromise. "Let me wear your armor. Let me lead your men." The mere sight of that divine armor, he argued, would scare the Trojans and give the Greeks a fighting chance. Achilles agreed, but he gave one strict order: push the Trojans away from the ships, but do not go to the walls of Troy. Patroclus, wearing the armor of the world's greatest warrior, felt invincible. He tore through the Trojan ranks. He drove them from the ships back across the plain, but he was swept up in the glory of the fight. He forgot the warning. He chased the Trojans all the way to the walls. His success sealed his doom. The god Apollo, unseen, struck him from behind, a stunning blow that knocked the helmet from his head. Dazed, vulnerable, he was wounded by another soldier, before Hector, seeing him weak, delivered the final, fatal spear thrust. As Patroclus died, Hector stripped him of Achilles' magnificent armor, claiming it as his prize. When the news reached Achilles, it hit him like a physical blow. Homer says he poured dust and ash over his head, tearing his hair, a grief so deep it was monstrous. This was not just losing a friend. For many, this was the love of his life. Beneath the grief, a new rage began to burn, an anger that made his feud with Agamemnon look like a petty grudge. The sulking hero was gone. The rage remained. The war was now intensely personal. He reconciled with Agamemnon. The prize that once meant everything now meant nothing. The only prize he wanted was Hector's life. His goddess mother brought him new armor, forged by the god Hephaestus himself. When Achilles put it on, his rage was so terrifying it seemed to burn like a star. He was no longer a man, but a ruthless angel of death. The predator was unleashed. The hunt had begun. Achilles' return to the battlefield was an apocalypse. He moved through the Trojan army like a wildfire, a blur of bronze and blood. The Trojans broke, scrambling for the safety of the walls. All except one. Hector stood his ground. From the ramparts, his parents, the old King Priam and Queen Hecuba, screamed for him to come inside. But Hector was trapped by his guilt for a bad command that had cost Trojan lives, trapped by his honor. He could not face his people as a coward. He had to face the consequences. But as Achilles charged, his new armor blazing like fire or the rising sun, even Hector's legendary courage broke. He turned and he ran. 3 times, they circled the city he was sworn to defend. A predator hunting his prey in full view of a terrified city. The gods watched. Zeus brought out his golden scales, and Hector's fate sank down. His doom was sealed. The goddess Athena, disguised as his brother, appeared at his side, tricking him into thinking he had backup. Filled with false hope, Hector stopped running. He turned. He tried to make a pact, let the winner promise to return the loser's body for burial. Achilles snarled back, "There are no pacts between lions and men." The duel was short. Achilles threw. He missed. Athena ripped the spear from the air, returned it. Hector threw. His spear shattered on the divine shield. He turned to his brother for another spear, and he was alone. In that horrible moment, Hector knew. The gods had deceived him. This was the end. Knowing he was doomed, he drew his sword and charged to die in a blaze of glory. But Achilles knew the armor Hector was wearing. It used to be his, and he knew its one weak spot, a small gap at the neck. As Hector lunged, Achilles drove his spear right into that spot, into the one place where flesh was bare. The Prince of Troy fell into the dust. But Achilles' rage was not satisfied. What happened next was shocking, even for the brutal standards of ancient war. He pierced Hector's ankles, tied the body to the back of his chariot, and whipped his horses. He dragged the champion of Troy through the dirt, as a father and mother watched in horror from the walls. For 12 days, he desecrated the body, a grotesque attempt to vent his monstrous grief. Finally, the gods had enough. They declared the body must be returned. They sent Hermes to guide King Priam, Hector's old father, on a secret journey into the heart of the enemy camp. The old man walked into Achilles' tent, knelt, and did the unthinkable. He kissed the hands of the man who had killed his sons. Priam's plea was simple and human. "Think of your own father." The words shattered the demigod's armor of rage. Achilles saw not an enemy, but a grieving father. And in Priam's sorrow, he saw his own future grief, and his own father's. For the first time, Achilles wept, not just for Patroclus, but for Priam, and for the shared grief that binds all mortal men. The rage vanished, replaced by common sorrow. He was a man again. Achilles accepted the ransom and personally helped prepare Hector's body for its return. The Iliad does not end with the fall of Troy. It ends with the funeral of Hector, a final tribute not to the victor, but to the defeated, dutiful man. The duel was more than a clash of bronze. It was a timeless struggle, the burning individual ambition to be remembered forever, against the selfless commitment to the ones we love. A single death for a city doomed to burn. Subscribe to witness the legends history tried to bury.